Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Cole Blair. I'm the Ontario Programs Coordinator with Wildlife Preservation Canada's Native Pollinator Initiative. And today I will be briefly going over with you all how to upload your bumblebee submissions to bumblebeewatch.org. So if you don't know, bumblebeewatch.org is a citizen science platform that helps to conserve and track our native bumblebee species across North America. So we rely on interested citizens like yourselves to go out and photograph bumblebees and then upload those photos to the platform. And then this helps conservationists across Canada and the United States in things like species assessments, policy discussions, and recovery actions, and many other critical things we need to do in order to conserve our bumblebee pollinators. So if you've never used the platform before, the first thing you want to do is look up bumblebeewatch.org. That's simply the URL. And then you'll be greeted by this lovely welcome page. If you've never used it before, you can navigate your way up to the top right-hand corner where it says your account, and you'll have a couple options either to sign in or register. So if you've never used it, just go through the registration process. And if you have an existing account, you can just quickly sign in. If you had an old Bumblebee Watch account, you might be asked to reset your password. This was because the platform launched a new version earlier in the year. So if you haven't used it in quite some time, it might be prompted to reset. It's a quick resetting process. And then once you do so, you'll have full access to your previous account. Since I'm already logged in, I can just simply start the submission process. And to do so, we'll want to begin by moving over to the left-hand panel here and clicking where it says Add Bumblebee Sightings. Once you've done this, it will be prompted to select your project. So if you're affiliated with a regional project, let's say in a hypothetical scenario, I am a volunteer in the Pioneer Provincial Park Bumblebee program. I can hit this, and then the bumblebees I upload to the platform will be filed under that regional projects folder. However, if you're just out and about observing bees, you could just go to Bumblebee Watch and click Submit Sightings. Once you do so, you'll be taken to this next page, which is just asking for some location information. So let's say in this hypothetical scenario, I've gone to a brand new location that I've never been to before, and I've observed some bumblebees. So I want to go to add a new location. You'll be asked to give a name to this location, and it can be anything you like. I'll just call this one BP Nature Reserve. And then it will ask you for the latitudinal and longitudinal coordinates of this location. You can input this manually. However, there is a map function, which you can select, which will bring you to a Google Maps overlay where you can search for the name of your location to help you find it. And then you can move your pin closer to where you actually observed your bee. So I recall being around here when I observed these bees, and I can select that as my location. And then the coordinates will be taken directly from where you put that pin. It will then ask you how accurate is this location. And what this is basically asking you is the rough distance between where you put that pin on the map and where you observed your bees. So I recall being roughly 100 to 250 meters from that location. And then I can also set the date, which is very important. I was there on the 27th of June, 2024. Once all this location is inputted, you can then proceed. Once you add a new location, if you revisit that location and observe more bees that you want to upload to the platform, you can find that new location under the selection here titled Choose from Your Locations. So you won't have to recreate a location every single time you visit a location. So this is all filled in. I can hit proceed. And now it has created a checklist for us. And basically a checklist, you can think of it as a survey or a trip. It will basically be all of the bumblebees that we've observed at that date, at that location. You do not need to make a new checklist for every single bumblebee you observe. You can add as many bumblebees as you like. And then every one of those will be filed under this checklist. So now that this checklist is created for us, I can go ahead and select Add Sightings. It will then ask for a number of informations. The first of which is photos. So the first thing we'll want to do is hit Select Photos. This will open up a file explorer on your computer for you to navigate and find your photo or photos. you can select between 1 and 5 photographs per individual bumblebee. In this instance, I'm just selecting 1. So my photograph has been uploaded. We can get a better view of it here. This is what I'm working with here. Once you've uploaded your photo for this individual bee observation, it will then ask you what species this is. There are no consequences for being wrong because an ID expert will come and verify the identification of every single bumblebee that you upload. So if you're not sure, you could just hit species of bumblebee. However, there is an identification tool if you want to try your hands at identifying your bumblebees to species. And basically what this entails is examining the color patterns on the face, the thorax, and the abdomen, and then that will filter out possible species IDs, which we're going to go through right now. So the face, thorax, and abdomen, if we're looking at this photograph here, it's hard to see the face, but from this angle, I can see black hairs poking out on the front of the face. So I can select that this has a black face. And when we look at the thorax, we can see that it's yellow on the front and then all black around the rest of the thorax. I think yellow in the front here looks like what we're looking at. And then once we move down to abdomen, we can see some yellow at the top of the abdomen and then black after that. And then this selection here, yellow then black, looks like what we're looking at. So I can select this. And then based on these 3 selections on the face, thorax, and abdomen, it has generated 2 possible species for us of this bumblebee, being the black and gold bumblebee and the American bumblebee. Both of these diagrams look similar to what we're seeing. However, I believe this is an American bumblebee, and I can select this. And now the species field has been generated for us and filled in. And if I'm incorrect, again, an expert will come and verify my species to the correct identification. It will then ask you for the sex of this bumblebee. If you're unsure, you could just keep it as not determined. However, if you are somewhat familiar with the morphological differences between males and females, you can try your hands at identifying the sex of this bee. For now, I'm just going to put not determined. If you know what flower the bumblebee was on when you observed it, or if it was observed on a flower at all, you can try and identify that flower and provide some information if you'd like, but this is totally optional. And you can provide some extra notes too if there's any other information you want to add for whoever's going to be using this and looking at this. But really, the only things you need to do that are required are adding your photo or photographs, putting some sort of species guess, and then also the sex of the bee. You can then hit add sighting, and that has then added your bumblebee to your checklist. So it's taken us back to our checklist where we can either add more sightings. We can look at the summary of everything we've added into this checklist. So this will give us the unique ID of our bumblebee. And if we select this, it will open up its individual observation page. So this is all the information that we provided. It'll show us on a map where we found it. And then also the site name, what species, when this was created, when this was observed. And then down here at the sighting history, this is where things will be updated once someone comes along and verifies the identification of my bee. So now back to the checklist, we can see some other information that it's showing us here. Importantly, the status. So if you want to keep track of if your submissions are being verified, you can see the status in your checklist here. It's right now, it's simply saying pending, which just means that a verification expert has not come along and identified my bee. Once somebody has identified my bee, this will then turn to a green box with verified in the middle. And you can also come into the edit button here if you want to edit your sighting. You could also delete your sighting if you don't want it to be on the platform anymore. However, once a submission has been verified, you can no longer delete it. And of course, you can also add more sightings if you've observed more bees on this trip. But for this tutorial, I'll just be sticking with the 1 bee. Once we've been brought back to this checklist page and all of our bumblebees have been given ID code, this means that our observations have been uploaded to the platform. And if we want to keep track of the verification statuses of our observations, we can simply maneuver our way up to your account and look at my profile. This will take you to a profile page where you can see a breakdown of the different species that you've observed, the different checklists that you've uploaded. So if I just click the one that I just uploaded, it'll show all the bees that were included in my checklist. If I want to click this one here, it'll show all the bees that are included in my checklist. So you can see here on the right hand as well, all of my recent sightings, and I can scroll through and see which ones have been verified and which ones are still pending. So that was the submission process for uploading your bumblebees to bumblebeewatch.org. I want to thank you all for watching, and happy bumbling.